When we get into relationships, we create an attachment. An attachment is a deep and enduring emotional bond that connects one person to another across space and time. So, whether we like it or not, we have created this attachment. This attachment allows us to pass energy through, back and forth. And the question is, what kind of attachment have you created? What is your go-to attachment style? And is that serving you in the long run? Hello, my name is Dr. Nicole Unan, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of MoodMe, a new app that allows you to share over 400 and plus moods, emotions, and desires with your lover, thus making communication simple, fun, and super easy. So attachment style doesn't explain everything in your relationship, but it probably explains a great deal about why your intimate relationships have been succeeding or failing, and the specific way that they did. Why you keep attracting the same archetype of people, and the nature of the relationship problems that arise again and again and again for you. Why it feels like that you are stuck in a cycle. Your attachment style plays a bigger part in your life than you realize. Have you ever wondered why you're attracting the wrong person every time you try to date? Maybe you feel excited about dating the bad guy, or you typically pick a partner that you want to fix. Much of this attraction be accredited to your attachment style. As adults, we tend to recreate relationship trauma from our childhood because that's what we feel comfortable with, and it confirms our ways of relating to others. The attachment theory outlines how your bond with your primary caregiver sets the foundation for how you navigate relationships throughout life. The theory states that the primary goal of a human infant is to remain close to its primary caregiver, which was necessary when surviving in old times and during evolution. As infants and toddlers, we were sponges, strategic sponges. We monitored everything our parents did, and since we loved our parents, we created strategies or attachment styles to help us stay close to them or to cope with the fact that they weren't able to take care of us fully. Isn't it wild to think that children are like little computers downloading our parents' every move and taking that information to create the foundation for the rest of their relationship life? If you as a child could rely on your parent to fulfill your needs growing up, then you likely have developed a secure attachment style. You don't have to use alternate strategies to get them to stay close to you. Thus, you now see relationships as a safe and cozy space where you can express your emotions freely. 50% of the population has developed a secure attachment. On the other hand, insecure attachment styles develop if you as a child had a strained and unreliable bond with your caregivers. If this was the case, you might have learned that you cannot rely on others to fulfill your basic needs and comforts. Therefore, you don't feel safe to get close to others, to open yourself up, to say what you really need. Because unconsciously, your inner child believes your love interest was just like your caregiver who wasn't able to be there for you. How do attachment styles affect relationships as adults? And why is it important to have awareness of your attachment style? Well, it affects how we deal with closeness and emotional intimacy in romantic relationships. It influences how we communicate and understand the emotional needs of others. It affects how we handle conflict. It influences the expectations that we place on our partner and the relationship. And we unconsciously expect our romantic partners to act as our parents did, and therefore we act in certain ways due to these expectations. These tendencies play out whether we realize it or not. Now, there are 4 different styles of attachment which we will be exploring today. Number 1, secure attachment. Number 2, avoidant, which is an insecure attachment. Number 3, anxious, which is an insecure attachment. And number 4, anxious avoidant, which is also known as an insecure attachment style. People with secure attachment strategies are comfortable displaying affection and interest. They're also comfortable with being independent, being alone, and displaying a healthy level of confidence. They're able to correctly prioritize the relationships within their lives and tend to draw clear boundaries, and they stick to them. They're capable of accepting rejection and moving on despite the pain. They're also capable of sacrificing when necessary and being loyal. They have little issues trusting people they're close to, and they're trustworthy themselves. Secure types comfortably form intimate bonds in relationships, not only with their partners, but also with their friends and family members. They don't have any trouble revealing themselves to you and occasionally relying on others when the situation calls for it. And they make excellent caregivers. Like I said before, over 50% of the population are the secure attachment types. In relationship, you know that you have a secure attachment if you Find it easy to open up and get emotionally and physically close with your lover. If you're not scared of expressing your emotions to your partner and you believe that your partner is reciprocating these feelings. If you trust that your partner will be there for you when you need them. If you like to talk things out and you want your partner near you when you're upset. And if you don't worry that your partner is just gonna leave you. And if you don't worry that your partner is up to no good when your partner goes and hangs out with friends, family, etc. Securely attached people grow up feeling secure emotionally and physically and can engage in the world with others in this particular type of way. As a result, people with secure attachment styles tend to navigate relationships quite well. They're generally trusting and positive and loving to their partners. They trust their partner's intentions, and jealousy isn't really an issue for them. Securely attached people feel that they're worthy of love and they don't need the external reassurance. So remember, if you have a secure attachment, you are good at regulating your emotions. You easily trust others. You are able to clearly communicate effectively, even when a conflict is present. You seek emotional support and you lean on others when you're going through a hard time. You're quite comfortable in close relationships and you have the ability to stop, reflect, apologize, own your part in a conflict. You are comfortable and able to be in relationships that are close. You have a high self-esteem and you're emotionally available. All right, so let's talk about anxious attachment style. Those with anxious attachments also feel emotionally empty. They're seeking a partner to complete or rescue them. They're seeking security in a partner. However, their clingy behavior usually pushes people away and it becomes difficult for the other partner to act independently in the relationship because doing so sends a signal to the anxious person that the partner might leave them. So in an effort to fill that emotional void in the anxious attachment, they cling to their partner, which therefore pushes their other partner away. It's like the more the anxious person clings to their partner seeking to fill that emotional void, the more the partner just wants to run away because it's overwhelming and it's a little bit over the top. Anxious attachment types are often nervous and stressed about the relationship. They need constant reassurance and affection from their partner. They have trouble being alone or staying single, and they'll often succumb to unhealthy or dysfunctional relationships in order to not be alone. Anxious types have trouble trusting people, even if they're close to them, yet they excessively rely on others to fulfill their emotional needs and their problems. Their behavior can be a little bit irrational, a little bit sporadic, and a little emotional. So someone with an anxious attachment could appear as the girl who doesn't like her partner going out. So then she calls him 5 different times and busts some drama because she needs reassurance that he is thinking about her. Or with men, a guy who is constantly monitoring everything that his girlfriend is doing on social media to make sure that she's not flirting with other men. And it is to be said that women are more likely to be anxious than men. So during conflicts, an anxious attachment individual may continue to argue in order to elicit a specific response that they want from their partner because they want reassurance, they want a reaction. They may feel incapable of calming down after a conflict until their person has met their needs of feeling loved, worthy, and that they're good enough. With anxious attachment individuals, there is a strong fear of abandonment that may cause the anxious individual to be intensely jealous and suspicious of their partner. This fear might also lead them to become desperate, clingy, and overly preoccupied with the relationship. Adults with anxious attachment styles are often afraid or even incapable of being alone. They seek intimacy and closeness and are highly emotional and dependent upon others. The presence of a loved one appears to be a remedy for their consistent negative talk about their self-worth. They need constant closeness and intimacy. They have a constant need to please and gain people's approval, but they have difficulty ever trusting their partners. They require frequent reassurance that they are cared for, and they're very hypersensitive to their partner's actions and moods and emotional needs. So someone with an anxious attachment would have a very sensitive nervous system. They struggle to communicate their needs directly, and they tend to act out when they're triggered. Like instead of speaking directly to the partner about something that was upsetting them, they'll instead become passive aggressive and work to make their partner feel jealous so that they can elicit a response of reassurance from their partner. All right, so let's talk about the avoidant attachment style. Avoidant attachment types are extremely self-directed, independent, and often uncomfortable with intimacy. They're commitment folks, and they're experts at rationalizing their way out of intimate situations. They often complain about feeling crowded or feeling suffocated if people try to get close to them, and they're paranoid that others want to control or box them in. In every relationship, they always have an exit strategy, always. Avoidance often constructs their lifestyle in a way to avoid too much intimate contact or to avoid commitment in any way. In surveys, avoidance types score uniquely high on self-confidence, so they don't need a lot of reassurance, but they are really low on emotional expressiveness and warmth, so they can come off as kind of cold. They not only reveal themselves far less to their friends and family, but they do not rely on others, even when they probably should. So they're not ones to ask for help, even when they need to ask for help. It's a sad fact that relationships tend to be controlled by those who care the least. So therefore, avoidants tend to be the one who are in control of both friendships and romantic relationships, as they're just so willing to go take the exit. They're willing to pick up and leave at any point. And this is completely opposite of the anxious types, who mostly let themselves be controlled by the relationship. An example of someone who is avoidant could be a man who spends all of his time working. He's a workaholic. He spends 80 hours a week working and gets upset when the woman he's dating wants to see him more or spend more time with him than one time per week. Or the girl who is in monkey bar relationships, dating guy after guy, short-term relationships, but she always tells them that she doesn't want anything serious. And she leaves before things get a little bit too serious or intimate. If you are an avoidant attachment style type, you prefer to keep to yourself when your partner is around. You don't talk to your partner about your feelings, and you like to be extremely private. You don't give your partner the chance to even let you down. Therefore, you're guarded. You don't want to be around your partner when you're feeling upset. You need space. You want to go into your cave and figure things out on your own, and you don't want to open up. And if your partner left you at any point in time, you have the defense mechanisms to shut off and just stop caring. And lastly, are you an anxious avoidant? Anxious avoidants really get the worst of both worlds. They avoid intimacy not because they prefer to be alone like an avoidant, rather they avoid intimacy because they're so damn terrified at the potential of it hurting them. Anxious avoidant individuals tend to be rather anxious about being abandoned or rejected by their partner, and as a result will often keep an emotional distance in order to protect themselves from what they think will be inevitable pain. They're often characterized by low self-esteem and low willingness to trust others. People with this attachment style are extremely reluctant to ultimately commit to their partners because they assume the partnership won't last. Those with the anxious avoidant attachment are often afraid to be either too close or too far from others emotionally. They have trouble with being intimate, while they also experience the fear of abandonment. They may chase after a partner who's pulling away, but then retreat when the partner becomes too available. These people often try to avoid their emotions, but end up becoming overwhelmed by them, which leads to these huge mood swings and explosions of emotions. Anxious avoidant people feel that the only way to have their needs met is to approach others. However, they fear getting too close because it's going to cause them pain. Their adult relationships are often roller coasters, and they fluctuate between feeling trapped by their partner or feeling abandoned and rejected by their partner. So anxious avoidants face several obstacles in a relationship, although they are often perceived as detached from their emotions or detached from their deeper emotions, maybe not their shallow emotions. Their emotional distance actually stems from them fearing that they're not able to be fully loved by the other person, and that the love they have for the other person will just inevitably lead to pain. They tend to review the relationships as unsatisfying, and as much as they want to, anxious avoidants are reluctant when it comes to relying and trusting their partner. You are an anxious avoidant if you want to get emotionally close to your partner, but then you worry about them hurting you or hurting your feelings or leaving you. If you want to feel close to your partner, but you just don't trust them to be close to you because you're worried that they're gonna hurt you. You can't live without your partner, but living with your partner is suffocating you and it makes you feel like you're losing your sense of self and identity. If you're an anxious avoidant, you struggle with self-esteem and you have high anxiety in relationships. You have strong fears of rejection. However, you also fear of intimacy and closeness. All right, y'all, that wraps up our 4 different attachment styles. Which attachment style did you resonate with? Leave us a comment in the section below and see you later, moodlings.